You're listening to the Breaking Sound podcast, My Story, where we discover the full story behind the hottest emerging artists, their struggles, their successes, and what's next. My name is Cage Sanderson. Have you checked out our 24/7 digital radio station, BSR? If you love discovering new music first, make sure you download the app, which is linked below. This episode is sponsored by Spirit Airlines' Music for Miles program. More Go Now. Make sure you go check out the latest routes and low-cost fares at spirit.com today. This episode is also sponsored by Crept Protect, the ultimate sneaker care. Discover their latest products at creptprotect.com. Wolves are a LA-based band with over 50,000 monthly listeners and over 2.3 million combined streams. Their biggest song, Excellent, was used as the promo song for the 2021 NBA All-Star Game, airing on networks ESPN, ABC, and TNT. With new material in the works for a summer release and sound self-described as, quote, if Rihanna was a dude and had a band with production made by the Neptunes, it would be us. They consider the genre alt-pop or their self-coined genre name, surf trap. Let's find out their story. All right, Wolves, welcome to the show. Let's start at the beginning. If you guys could just introduce yourselves for everyone.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Marc Avery.
And I'm Sean Carney. And we're Wolves.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, so let's start with Marc. Tell us some of your favorite memories growing up. Like, what was it like growing up in Chicago?
Cold, very cold. And honestly, Chicago was phenomenal. Great city, great people, great food. And my family's there. So being from Chicago was a lot of rhythm and blues, jazz, all of that. And I grew up in a very musical household. Earth, Wind & Fire, Stevie Wonder, who was my top one, Michael Jackson, Prince, you name them. I lived with all of this in my house on a daily. And my brother was into hip hop in the golden era of hip hop in the 90s. So.
Yeah, you got a good foundation there. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, Sean, you are originally from LA, right?
I am from LA. It's
all right.
Other magical music city, in my opinion. A lot of rock and roll history and other things going on here. So, yeah.
Where was that? Would you say that was then for you, the music that kind of was in your formative years that you were surrounded by?
I would say absolutely. Alternative rock kind of hit right in the 90s when I was growing up. So Nirvana was on the radio. Red Hot Chili Peppers was on the radio.
Yes.
Some of the funkiest music combined with rock and roll and even elements of hip hop was happening in the 90s. And so as a guitarist, there's so many incredible guitarists who came out of that era as well that I really look up to, like Tom Morello and John Frusciante. Also.
Totally. It's
like that.
Yeah, I think it's like when you have the fortunate luck to have experienced 90s music, right? As a person who loves music, as a musician, whatever that is, that was definitely such a great, there was a lot of inspiration from a lot of amazing, I think all genres really, right? It's like
for sure.
Into the 90s.
Because the Tribe Called Quest was coming out in the 90s, Wu-Tang Clan. It's like some pivotal, B.I.G., Tupac was still around. It's so many artists, like you said, across all genres. That was ridiculous back then.
Right. So fantastic. So for you guys, what was like daily life growing up?
Well, I'm from Chicago, so, outside of dodging bullets and shit like that, I was just going to school and, living my life, playing video games like a normal kid did. And I obviously didn't get into making music until I was 19, but I always grew up in the house and that was always there. The opportunity was there and people would want to get me involved in music, but I just wasn't about that life. I was just trying to just go to school, have fun, chase girls. You know how it goes.
The huge.
Yeah, the huge. Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, living in LA was really cool. Had a lot of cool friends, and I picked up skateboarding. It was like one of those little punk rock things I would do as a kid. which has become like a cool thing I've been involved with, like even still today. And yeah, and actually I grew up moving around quite a bit. I started in LA, ended up in Washington, DC, and then ended up in Michigan. And so I was like constantly making new friends, like wherever I went. I was always a new kid, but it was okay because I got to just meet new people and make new friends all the time, which I was totally down with.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's like, I think both of you, it just sounds like even in those like kid years, you just kind of make the most of where you're at. Right. And it's like, just instead of looking back and being like, oh, maybe those elements, it's like, hey, that's how I grew up. That was cool. I learned something from it. Right. Yeah. So you guys obviously touched on all the, I mean, I think between the two of you, the amount of genres that have influenced you and that you guys listen to and all of that, it's pretty much like the whole spectrum. What would you guys, if you could, like each of you pick just like a couple of, artists or bands that you looked up to that, or maybe even just like certain songs that just like popped out that you're like, ooh, that kind of piqued the interest for loving music even more?
I'll say one artist and band that I think we overlap. I don't know if it's the exact same song, but I'll say Queen. When I heard Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time, it was just like, what is this?
I think that's like the best song like ever written.
Yeah,
it's kind of like whatever, kind of cheesy to say that it is the best song ever written because it's so popular, but
it is.
Everyone knows all the words to that song, and it's the weirdest song ever written. It doesn't make any sense.
And becoming an adult and a musician and seeing like the actual like tracking of it and the everything that's going on, the vocal production, the actual production, everything that's going on there, it's a reason why it's considered one of the best songs of all time. They put a lot of damn work in there.
Yeah, it's some groundbreaking stuff. And we're talking about having also the production tools that those songs that was around during those songs, right? Versus the things we have now. It kind of makes it even more mind blown. Like, dang, they did that with that.
Analog tape, that shit's expensive.
We're kind of on a Bee Gees kick right now too. Yeah, because we just watched the recent HBO documentary on the Bee Gees.
For sure.
I watched it like 3 times for sure.
Yeah, we spend a ton of time in the studio anyway, and then seeing these guys put these legendary songs together, just one after another, was like super.
Like the songs they gave for Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever alone was just like hit after hit. They just gave them to them like, oh, we got some songs. Yeah, we got some songs for the soundtrack, and bam, 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 bam. I'm like, what?
It's just like, yeah, pass the fries. Cool, got a song. Oh, it's a hit. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah. Just wake up.
Whatever.
That's like kind of the ultimate when you go, oh yeah. I mean, and like you guys, first of all, you picked Queen and then the Bee Gees, but like those are those artists that you just go, also like, how did they do that? It's like it came to them like breathing, right? You're like, that's just like made to do that. Those people, there was no other calling for them.
Right.
So like kind of even like along those lines of thinking of talent and when that must have hit for those artists, like when you guys, at what point in your lives would you say like the talent started like pouring out and like your family even kind of noticed like, hey, like you got this music thing?
Yeah, sure. I just actually was thinking about this the other day. I was in like a written musical that was like in my school when I was like, I don't know, 8 years old or something like that. And I, at the very end of it, I was given a styrofoam guitar that the director and the writer of this play had made. And so the second I got my hands on that, I was all over the stage. I like was just all over. And I was like, this is the best feeling ever. And
totally.
Now I'm in my 30s doing the same thing.
He's dope at what he does, by the way. I'll say my first memory I can think of, or maybe, my mom or something. And it was when I was a kid. We grew up had a piano in our house. And I remember playing Kung Fu Fighting by ear everybody was coming. So this is an old memory. And yeah, exactly. And my mom was like, what? And she came from the other room and like saw me like picking it out by ear, you know, on the piano. And that's probably one of my first earliest memories. But outside of that, I think like when I was 19 and I was in the a cappella choir, and my whole family was like, "You're in a choir? Like since when?" You know what I mean? Like what the hell? You know. So it was just that where it was like kind of always a closeted thing, me singing. I never really wanted to do it until I got like in college.
Right. That's so funny. It's like you guys definitely you have 8 years old and you have like college age here of when it hit.
Right.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. What were your group of friends like younger years through college? Were they also musicians, or were you kind of alone in that?
I mean, for me in college, yes, because it was a choir. When I met, you know, when I felt the music bug, got bit by the music bug. So I was definitely in the choir with other musicians and singers, and that helped along with the training, the vocal technique, in so many ways. And then just we would press play a lot on each other, like trade songs. Hey, I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna play that, and so I would get a lot of songs in that way through osmosis, I guess, but not really because I'm listening to it. So
nice, nice.
Yeah, absolutely. The choir thing, Mark and I both share. So we try to incorporate that. I mean, pretty much on every song at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, the choir thing is so social. You know, like if you're in choir, you're gonna make friends.
Yeah, for sure.
At least with your section, unless there's probably gonna be like one guy who's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. Generally, always a couple of weird people in the choir. At least a couple.
That's like in every group setting, right? You're like, oh, there's always that one or two people. You're like, not sure about them, but
I may be being generous by saying only a couple, but you know, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think choir. It's like choir, theater. A lot of those kind of very artistic types of groups. It's like it just attracts a bunch of different. It's like you almost don't even realize it's not just like one type of person. I think those creative groups really attract people from like all these different backgrounds and places. So it does create this very like ragtag, funny like group of people sometimes in those, wouldn't you say? I mean, being part of something like that. Did you?
Absolutely.
So so the performer thing definitely hit. Like we're gonna say, yeah, Sean, you were 8 and like clearly was like, I'm gonna do this thing, right? And Mark, it was like that college age. Ooh, I like performing. Was there like a specific moment when you said, oh, this is what I want to do? Like I can't picture anything else.
But okay, if I'm honest, there were multiple times and growing up where it was like little in the house talent shows. We would have family come over and I would sing, and it was good. Well, back then, you know, what as I remember anyway. And just different things like people would try to push me to do it in school along the way before college and elementary and high school and church. I just would never do it. And then when I was
so crazy.
Yeah, I just was like, I want to do that. I always wanted to be a lawyer or an architect. And so I was going to school. I mean, I have my degree in political science, but when I was doing
That's awesome.
What drove me to it was a heartbreak. I got my young, tender 19-year-old heartbroken, and I was laying in there crying, and I was just like, you know, I need to write this and get this out of my system. And I just started, a river of words came. It was shitty songs, but they just kept coming. And at some point they started getting good.
Hey, then it was like, that was the whole point of that heartbreak moment, is to like kickstart it, right? There you go.
Yeah. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing it.
Right. So like shout out to that girl. Cool.
Yeah. Fuck you. Oh my God.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
Sean, what would you say for you was the time when you're like, all right, I'm doing this for real?
For real? Every day I wake up.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
When did you know that? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, my co-host Mark wants to know, when was that exact date? We're digging in here. We're digging in.
I think it's like we're constantly shifting. You know, we're constantly like figuring out our focus and like intentions. So I really think, just taking some time to figure out what you're actually going for is something cool.
So you guys talked about, you both did the talent show thing. You guys have kind of done the, the young years, you're showcasing your skills and all that. So when was that time when you started like either writing music or collabing with like other people on the music?
I'd say I probably started collaborating with other people musically after college, when I moved to Memphis. I graduated and I was living in Memphis, and I could produce very minimally. So I had no choice but to link up with other producers. And so I eventually did. And that was probably the first time I started collaborating, was down there in Memphis. And shout out to Memphis, all my friends and family, homies down there. There's good people down there. Yeah. Great barbecue too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, we talked about, I know, Mark, you talked about going to college, getting your political science degree. That's awesome. Cool. Did both, like, Sean, did you do the college thing? Or like, it's just kind of curious. That's, what we love to dig in, and always, those are the interesting stories, right? With this is finding out, like, are those, you have other interests? What was the other, like, who would have thought a guy with a political science degree is like also this musician? Or some people just go, forget college, I'm going to just like go do this thing, which is like hella rad too. So like, what was that for you, Sean? What was the path?
Well, I ripped so hard on choir earlier, but I actually studied choral conducting in college, and I got a degree in music education.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I still teach. I'm teaching today. I teach kids music, and I taught 8 classes today. Earlier.
Cool. Super cool.
And so I studied that, and then as soon as I finished my college degree, I went and I worked at sea for 2 years as a vocalist on a cruise ship, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that is very interesting.
Yeah, so I got to see a lot of the world.
Yeah.
And just have cool experiences and kind of live that pirate lifestyle. Kind of all about that pirate lifestyle.
We have a lot of pirating melodies in some of our songs.
It's like most people would say, yeah, I'm like a gypsy, I'm a free spirit. And you're like, I'm a pirate.
Yeah. One Piece.
I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When was the decision to like stay like rooted in LA? You're both from all over the place. When did each of you make the LA thing happen?
Yeah, you go first.
Can I say, okay, so I may or may not have lost that job, working on the cruise ship.
All good.
It was kind of bullshit anyway. It was total bullshit. So
right, but you got to travel. Cool. Thank you for that.
Exactly. And, I had not lived in Los Angeles in a really long time, like since I was 12 years old. And I was like, man, I really want to go back. Like, I feel like my heart's there, and there's just such a great music scene. I love music, and I grew up in that scene. I'm going to head back. So just made that decision to just pick it all up and come out here with $800 and sleep on couches for 6 months.
How else do you do it? Come on.
I don't know.
Well, I moved here from Memphis, and by then I was already like working as a solo artist, just trying to make some things happen. And I realized like Memphis is a dope city, but it's not a lot of diversity music. It's not a lot of musical diversity there. There's a lot of rap, certain things, certain genres. But the only other option was maybe for me was have been Atlanta, but it was it was the same kind of thing. So I knew that LA was a spot for me, with the sun, with the vibes and everything else. And it's definitely been like one of the best decisions like I've ever made in my life. Like I remember driving out of Memphis, and like it was a wave of like assurance, like positivity washed over me. Like, yes, dude, keep driving. And
my compass says West Coast, best coast. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And the first time I came out here was when I moved out here. I never visited or anything.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
That's hella cool. What's like some of your best, would you guys say like early memories of like LA life?
That's a good one. You got some good questions.
Man,
You got a good team with some good questions, y'all.
The first gig I ever had in LA was actually playing in a pit orchestra. I was playing guitar in a musical called Last 5 Years, which is like, it's kind of a beast. It's kind of a beast to play. And it took a while to learn the score. But yeah, that was cool. And it was right up here where we're at right now in North Hollywood.
Dope.
And there's a couple theaters out here. And so I just kind of learned the area. There's like some rehearsal studios around North Hollywood that I would hang out and just like play guitar, look for gigs, like whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
LA life.
Nice. I'm trying to see what is maybe one of my favorite. I'll probably say maybe the first time I probably went to a day party, because that's not necessarily, that's becoming a thing everywhere else. Like LA and only certain cities, I think, was like doing day parties like that.
Yeah, like LA, New York.
Right, maybe Miami or whatever. And so now, when I did that, I was like, what the hell is this? The lights are on? You guys are here partying? I can see your face? Oh, all right. You know, it's the vibe.
That's awesome. Yeah, you going from never though being in LA before and then experiencing like that and all of that for the first time. That has to be kind of cool though, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They had me.
You go, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, they had me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You go, I knew that feeling I had when I left Memphis was
Exactly. It wasn't the music, it was for the day party.
It's just for the day parties and the sunshine. Confirmed.
Exactly.
Nice. How did you guys meet? Let's like talk about that.
All right.
At a day party. No, I'm just kidding.
No. But it did involve alcohol. But I was bartending at Dave & Buster's in Hollywood. And it used to be originally 3 of us. And Rocky, the original drummer, isn't in the band anymore. He left on his own accord. I mean, we're still homies. You know, what's up, Rocky?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. And so I was serving him some beer, and he was there for a birthday party getting hammered. And we were just talking. And and I said about music. And long story short, we started working on some things. And I said, you know, bro, this is cool what we're doing, but I've been wanting to do a band for like a long time. Like a year before that, I mentioned it to some other friends of mine. It just fell on deaf ears. And he said, you know, me too. Because you get tired of being a songwriter and producer trying to make things for other artists. It's so many, the rigmarole. It's so many things you got to go through.
For sure.
And he said, yo, I got this guy, Sean, I want to bring into the fold. You know, what is it cool? I was like, yeah, okay. And then Sean, take it away.
Yeah. So I met Rocky, our former drummer, at the ASCAP Expo. Was just checking out what was going on there. Producers, songwriters from all around the world show up with like their best stuff, hoping to talk to music supervisors. It's a cool vibe, and you meet tons of people. I met Rocky, we totally connected, and we started writing together even before I met Marc. And it was just a really cool energy and a cool connection. So when I got the call from Rocky, I was like, what's the band called?
Yeah.
And I think they might even have
I didn't have a name. I didn't have it. I had it after the three of us ended up, meeting maybe after that first time or the second time. Because I started coming up with different names. But I do remember vividly in all caps writing Wolves. Like it's always been written in all caps. Yeah. And I may even have that note still. Wow. I might have to check it out. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. That needs to be like wait, you mean note like on an iPhone or like a handwritten note?
Note on an iPhone.
Still, you need that like screenshot and put it like somehow album artwork.
Right.
With the date on it, my brain's just taking that in a whole nother place. But like, yeah, this has been from day one, Wolves.
That's
it'll be in the documentary for sure.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Oh, I like the way you guys are thinking already. Documentary. Okay.
We've already started on this documentary, by the way. We have film. We have. Oh, have that say too much?
Yeah, I think so.
We have.
Okay, guys, note we need to edit that out. All right, continue.
Yeah,
nah, we have footage from like our very first like performances and like different like so much footage has been compiled, and then actually taking the time to sit down and do some things like documentary style. Like I watch a ton of documentaries. He does too. So that's been on the head since day one, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff, it's super cool. I mean, it's like, it's that's why, doing this podcast, it's like we love delving in. It's like there's more. I think the thing why people get attracted to like a documentary and those kind of things, podcasts, it's because you get more than just like the surface stuff, right? You get to like dig in and like get that backstory. It's like pretty. That's like pretty interesting. It's like the best kind of people watching you could ever have.
Yeah,
You really
for sure.
go, wait, what makes them tick? Like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Especially if you're really interested in like what they're doing, like these, the Bee Gees documentary and all that stuff.
Tina Turner is great too.
The Eagles one, you got totally hooked on as well.
Yeah, the Eagles one is. I can't even. I've seen that so many times. Yeah.
Love it. Did you guys the LA influence to the music? You both are from all these different places, but like, would you say there's a strong like that LA vibe? Kind of once you guys became a band, like was that kind of apparent, or did you guys kind of already have a lot of similar sounds before you came together?
I think we had some similar, sounds in the sense of like just the music that we grew up on. There are and listened to over the years. So Coldplay is big, for instance, for us. So we definitely connected on, we connect that way. And as far as the LA vibes, he grew up in LA, so that's already ingrained in him. And as soon as I got out here, taking in that sun, I soaked that shit up like Captain Planet, and just I'm full of LA vibes. I still got to Chicago, but we've been privileged to work with a lot of different artists coming up over the years that are still coming up. And that we've gotten the LA vibes that way. Like, I kind of live my life like Mega Man. So, like, if ever I'm coming into contact with somebody, I might get like a skill or something like that. So, yeah.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's great. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one. So you, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I get it. It's so descriptive, but like, got it. That's cool. You guys. So yes, originally there are three of you, right? And like, you're hitting the ground running. I know you guys had good chemistry when there's three. You still have this obviously great chemistry, the two of you. What's the writing process like, the production process, all of that?
Well, lately I've been coming up with beats, coming up with guitar parts, and this guy, Mark, has been just flying through lyrics. I don't even know how he does it. It's been crazy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And we have a number of ways of how we do it. It could be I'm at piano, I'll have a song written, and I'm going to bring it to Sean, show us when we produce it up. Like you say, he has a production, and then we got one way where we're together, and then we just come up with something on the spot. Cool. And then we collaborate with other artists and producers too. For instance, KAIRO is one we collaborate with consistently.
Shout out to KAIRO.
Yeah. And Offstring,
And Offstring, thank you guys so much.
Yeah. And so just working with other people in that way, it just keeps us sharp. And so when we do sit down to do it, it just comes. Like, because we just write and do this thing so often, I feel very privileged and lucky for it to be coming out like that, at that quality. It's like we don't even have the time to, and maybe that's what it is. We don't sniff our own ass, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, literally, I'm like, oh, this is a good line, but it's not like, oh, we get caught up in it maybe after, or maybe once the Grammys come, we'll,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think what it is it's like putting in, the time, and it's like any craft, right? You're like, you put in that time, that effort, and you're just doing it. It's like repetition is everything too, to where that is, I mean, it's like, it's not like you guys are sitting around and not doing anything and like, oh, today's studio day. Okay. It's like, if you're like constantly, you're collabing with other people, you're working with each other. It's like, it's inevitable that it's going to like flow, because it's like, just like you're working it. Right. And there you go.
Yeah.
So
we have a lot of conversations about our process too. Like a lot of conversations lately have been about how the song comes to us. The song comes to us. We're not writing the song. The song is coming to us, and it's up to you whether or not you want to accept it and put it into, something that is tangible.
Of course.
We talk about that too. And sometimes it comes when we're together. Sometimes it comes, when I'm doing the dishes.
But in addition to the conversation we have, the reason why I think these songs come out, because I made mention to Sean, like, hey, we just talking. I say, hey, I want some production that sounds like this.
Yep.
Or he might have say, we should write a song like this and this. And we either put it in our back pocket figuratively, or I'll type it down in my phone and put it in my back pocket literally. Because, and that's the thing too, just always being aware and present. Like I'll type down keywords and phrases all the time, just in having conversations with anybody or just hearing something in earshot and pass.
Sure.
And just being present, you just never know what you can find.
Yeah, you get that tickle of a word or a phrase. It's like, what? Wait.
Ooh, hold on,
Yeah.
hold. I gotta go do something. You're like, hold on, okay.
Exactly.
The tickle
Yeah.
is what it's all about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so got to talk about the first performance as a band together. Like, what was that feeling when?
Awful.
During, I love that. I was gonna say when you
Oh,
finished
man.
the set, but okay.
We felt terrible and it was terrible. Like it wasn't anything good about it, except that we did it and got out the damn way.
But you gotta suck. You gotta suck at some point.
Yeah.
You just have to.
It's like, hey, it can only go up from here. So-
Yeah. Yeah. And just like in hindsight, I see why now that we did it in an acoustic set and we like really generally play electric and really like beats and all type of shit.
Right.
But we played acoustic first because we didn't have any of that. Yeah, we had to build it first. And then playing acoustically, what I know now, you can really get your chops up. You can really know what you sound like. If you're terrible or good or whatever, if you can get it going acoustically, then you got something going on.
For sure.
And-
That's like performing 101, right? You can do it stripped down, then boom, you
Right.
got it.
I learned that the hard way. I had learned through this guy and Rocky. He was pushing that at first, and I was like, why the fuck are we doing this? I just did not.
Yeah.
But yeah, are we okay to curse? We've been cursing a lot, by the way.
This is a podcast. Everything
Okay.
goes, you know?
I just
I
wanted
mean,
to-
come on.
Fucking make sure, okay?
Everything goes.
Everything goes. Within, there might be a 5% that doesn't, but everything goes. All right. So we're going to go from like a low moment of, yeah, that was the worst ever to like, let's talk about, you've had songs placed in major networks. Like we're talking TNT, CW, ABC. How did all of that come about?
Well, the short answer is Offstring Music Group, who we were talking about, KAIRO, we work with, the producer. That's how that come about. They're tapped in and they have a phenomenal track record and history of work themselves. But how we came into contact with them, it started from donuts.
Beer
I
and
know, right?
donuts. You're like,
know, right?
okay, everybody loves those two things. So
So I was dating this girl at the time, and she took me to this donut shop in Burbank. Went up there, talking to this guy. No, went up there, ordered donuts, and this guy, I don't know if you can see it, but I like have like freckles all over my damn skin.
yeah, dope. Okay.
And so he was like, "Hey, dude, I see you got freckles. You know, are you mixing anything? You just being cool."
Sure.
And I was like, "No, I'm just straight black. You know, whatever." And I knew he was a musician because you get that feeling, that vibe, you know, being out here or whatever.
For sure.
But I asked him, he said, are you an actor or a musician? I said, I'm an actor, but I'm a musician, man. I asked him, was he a musician? I asked him, was he an actor? He said, no. I said, I knew you weren't an actor, you're a musician. So he says, he's a musician, he works in TV sync and all this stuff. Says he's working with this company and some guy named Ryan or something like that. I'm like, Riley? And he's like, yeah, Riley. And we end up knowing the same guy who he's producing with. And we ended up going over there, showing them our music, and they liked it. And I think we met with them like the next day or the same day or something like that. And they're like, since then, just been like, blah, 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 because it just works with what they're doing. And had we not going to get donuts that day, we wouldn't even be working with Offstring, KAIRO. We wouldn't even fucking know these guys.
Oh
And
my gosh.
all of a sudden, yeah. Because I have freckles too. I guess that's really the moral. Maybe if I didn't have freckles, that wouldn't happen. Yeah.
It's like the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
going to get donuts.
Yeah, freckles.
Pretty great. You know, looking a little different. That's always a cool thing, right? Heck yeah. You know, and then sure, conversation start. Hey, look, however you get the conversation started, That's just the first step. And like, first of all, in everything in life, we could take this past music, right? But it's just like, get that conversation going. And then you never know. Shot. Doors can open. Shoot that shot. Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'm here for Shout out to Zay.
Yeah. Isaiah. That's who we met. And we have a song with him also. The first song we worked on was with him. It was called Accelerate.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Produced by KAIRO, who's just been such an amazing person to have in our lives.
And I think that was the latest sync we got. It was on a documentary on NBA TV about the 96 draft class. Yeah.
So cool, you guys. That's exciting stuff. Like, that really is awesome.
We're beyond pumped.
Yeah. So, not to mention like NBA, very cool, but Songland, that was a big one, right? So, I mean, you guys want to tell us about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very nerve-wracking experience because we were standing in a room with 3 of the greatest songwriters ever.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Ryan Tedder, Esther Dean, Shane McAnally, just right in front of us. And we have to play a song that we wrote for them. So I was pretty nervous, and I don't really get nervous in performances. I'm actually like kind of sweating. My palms are sweaty thinking about it right now.
Cold sweat.
So good. They're just so freaking good.
And the actual being on NBC, knowing that we were on that lot, like the whole, like being in that studio, like it's like, holy shit. And it was one of those moments that it was like, okay, are you really about that life? You've been wanting it. Are you going to do hold up a photo? What you going to do? You going to drop the ball? What you going to do? And then being right there. And then like, actually, okay, leaning into it. And I'm getting chills thinking about it right now.
I know. I'm like, I think I was holding my breath.
I was too, man. That was one of those decisions, one of those big decisions.
Yeah.
And we were all in on it. We were all in.
And thank God for Taylor Swift. Because the night before, her documentary came out on Netflix, and we watched it, and it was oddly helpful. Like to watch that, it was like, oh, someone general, kind of as young as us, whatever,
Huh. Oh my God. Okay. How much you guys truly, clearly love documentaries is like kind of my favorite thing ever.
I feel like it's documentaries. It's all
I know. That's why I love this because like, look, this is not about me. This is all about you guys, but I am such a documentary. Like I love that stuff. I find them therapeutic. Like they could be scary, like murder documentaries. I'm like, that's still entertaining. I find just people entertaining. It's like you guys, I love like you bring up a documentary like every 10 minutes, but I love it. It's
Thank you. We try to generally know what the fuck we're talking about. We don't want to,
And it's such a cool thing. It's such a cool thing to watch for us too. Every time we watch a new documentary, we are fired up. Yeah, we're fired up. Like
get you excited for what you're doing.
And we're like on the road, hotel room, throw on a documentary. There we go.
For sure. and for sure, like it's legitimately. This Bee Gees documentary, we keep bringing it up because the music we're working on right now with KAIRO is kind of a new age version of that. And they could not have made that documentary at the right, perfect timing. Obviously, we know about the Bee Gees, but to get that type of behind the curtain, it's not lost on us as musicians. So it's like to see that. You got to see it if you haven't seen it, by the way.
I haven't seen that one yet. Like, and it's funny because you guys are probably like the fifth and sixth people who have brought it up in the last like couple weeks. I'm like, okay, it's a sign. Like even just now as we're talking, I'm like, it's a sign. I have to watch it. Yeah. Like in the next week now.
And it's all the subliminal advertising, I'm sure. I'm just
yeah, we actually work for HBO Max.
Yeah. Like the Michael Jordan one. That was
The Last Dance.
Incredible.
Okay, I think what we're gonna have to do is have like sidebar and do a whole separate podcast. We're just gonna have to go through every documentary, highs, lows, our ratings. Like we could do that. We can do that.
Down.
Okay.
I'm down.
I'm serious. I'm being so serious.
All right.
Like, okay, we'll talk about it after.
Sounds great.
And like we got to get to some of these fun stories before we like let you guys go.
Okay.
Do you guys have any like fun fan stories or anything, kind of cool with your people who love your stuff?
Yeah, actually we the one live show that we played during pandemic was for my friend Nico's mom's 50th birthday party. And it was in an airplane hangar. And, it's during the pandemic and it's like in Compton. And who was it? Like Roddy Ricch was doing like a...
Yeah, it was
food drive or a present drive.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah. And and so it was just a crazy situation. And then we're playing in an airplane hangar too, which is cool. And there's like planes around. And we're all wearing suits and masks, and it was crazy. So that was nuts.
I think, was it 2 years ago, probably, my mom was flying from Chicago to visit me and to see, like, we had a show that was scheduled, and I had like this film thing going on I was acting in, and she's at the airport. She goes outside, I guess, to smoke a cigarette, and she has on like a Wolves hoodie or a Wolves shirt or whatever, and she's just going there. She sees this guy pass, and he has like a guitar on his back, and she said, "Oh, she just brings up a conversation. You got a gig or something like that?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Detroit or some shit. I don't know." And they get to talking. And she said, "Oh yeah, I'm actually going to go see my son in LA. This is his band, Wolves." And he says, "What? Get the fuck out of here." And she's like, "What? My homeboy is the drummer for that band at O'Hare International Airport. You know how big and how unlikely this is?"
Yes.
Shout out to Jonathan, drummer. Yo.
I love that. Your mom's
And
just
that's
way
a-
cash. Like your mom's like, "I'm super fan. Like my son, this is my son's band." And then boom. See, guys, I call that's having those moments in life, whatever you believe in, whatever. But it's those moments in life, right? It's like those are your little it's like those qualifying moments. It's like, yes, you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing. Just like, boom, here's a sign.
Yeah. I call that a wink from God. Wink. He just
Heck yeah. Yes. Wink from God, a nudge from the universe, whatever we want to call it. It's cool. Yeah. I love those moments. Those are like those are those like you kind of get like the goosebumps. You're like, "Oh, that's cool." And it reaffirms stuff and it gives you confidence too, I think, in whatever path you're on at that moment. It's like, heck yeah. That's cool. So last year being pretty catastrophic, how did you guys deal with 2020 and everything that came with that?
We actually kind of had to swallow that pill, like that hard pill, like early on in terms of COVID, because we were at a gig in Vegas, and we had another gig planned for maybe like the next week following it in Denver, and I think it was like March, something like right as the pandemic hit, and our gig got canceled, and it was like just as we were starting to get on the road last year. That second gig got canceled.
Totally shut down.
And then we just really locked in and like took advantage of that time and just created more music. And, outside of going mildly crazy due to the pandemic, but we just worked on music.
I mean, there's just two of us, so we kind of quarantined together and just kind of...
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, were you guys working apart or together during that time?
Both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Both.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, thank God for technology. You brought up the analog thing back in the day. Like, I can't even imagine what that would be like if we had to, just keep going and, whatever, under those circumstances,
Yeah.
It would have been like just checking the other.
We're running.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I was just like, you're talking about that. Like if this was back, even 15 and 20 years ago, it's like, hit me on my pager, send a fax. Like, just saying, because I mean, you definitely, as much as there's so many things that, we take it for granted, right? Like technology and allowing us to like connect and do that whole thing. And I think last year was like that moment where you go, especially you don't think about it, I think in a creative space sometimes, because it's creative, but then you're like, well, if you're not together and able to collaborate like that going off the vibes when you're in person is everything. But then at least being able to have like this, right? Like a Zoom, a Skype session, like, yeah, without that, who would be making music last year?
I'm thankful for the time, it was really helpful. We definitely unlocked some different sounds and different things, and we got more music coming,
We have so much.
It's in a lot of music.
Because you guys did release music and like, it's been a lot of music, but like the upcoming stuff, like, are you doing a whole, is this like one whole project? Is this like EP? Is
You'll
this just a
see.
bunch of singles?
Well, for sure, we can tell you this. For sure, we got Blast Off coming next. That's our next single.
Nice.
It'll be out in June. We already shot a video for it by Alex DeMarco. Fantastic dude, fantastic director. And for sure, I already kind of brought that up. We will have a third project from with KAIRO, I would say, coming up.
Cool.
Sometime in the summer, more than likely. Yeah.
Dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We'll just keep everything else under lock and key. But just know we got a ton of music.
Just know there's a ton of music, there's a documentary and more, but we can't tell you what's the and more. Not
We
just
told them
yet.
about the documentary.
You're right. Oh,
Just
man.
wait.
Drop the ball.
It's all good. It gives everyone something to look forward to. Come on.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's like the teasers. It's all good. So that's kind of like in that space of everything you guys have it coming up this year. Is there anything else creatively past the music video and all of that stuff that you guys have planned for the rest of this year?
We're really trying to focus on getting out on the road and meeting new people in new places.
Yeah.
So we're really focusing on that and just trying to get ourselves connected in that way to our fans. We've got a lot of listeners that tune in, and we want to meet everybody. So
Heck yeah.
Domestically and internationally.
Yep. So we got to make that happen.
It's like,
figured
it's
that
kind of
out.
like, it's like on the vision board. It's like, okay, we're here. We also want to go to Europe. We're going to
Yeah.
go over to Asia. We want to get to
Yeah.
all of you.
I mean,
You got to put it out there.
these are conversations we had since literally day one. It's always
Of course.
been the height of Coldplay, Wembley Stadium. It's always been like those discussions. So we just want to keep going until we get that and then go through that and then really fuck shit up.
But you're saying you're not doing that now?
Well, I said really fuck shit up.
Oh.
Right now it's like an undercover kind of doing some stuff. And then we're going to push it. Then we're going to really push it. Guys, it's like, I think with you guys, it's kind of like, but wait, there's more. That needs to be your just tagline for like everything for like the next.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. You're welcome. You can use it.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
all right, guys. I mean,
yeah.
I think we got to everything. I feel like we could talk all day long, but
Yeah.
I mean, those are the highlights, and we're gonna have to like circle back and see everything you guys are doing. I think sooner than later, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, we do have. Can we talk about the Red Room? Can we talk about that?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
We do have a Breaking Sound radio performance with the Red Room coming very, very soon.
Yes, you
And
do.
we are looking forward to that, actually, because,
Yeah, we had an incredible performance, and shout out to Breaking Sound and Mighty Lamb for putting together this incredible production. Like, we couldn't believe what the set looked like.
Yeah.
We're just really excited. All I can say, there's a lot of red.
Yeah.
So much red.
yeah. And we just tried
Aptly
to
named.
right. Just like the hair. And we tried to give the work that was put in with the production, we tried to give that on the stage. So we think those two entities combined very well.
Beautiful. Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah, I know like the BSR team's stoked. You guys are awesome. It's like, it's like this all feels like such a fun, like collaborative effort. I think like your guys' part and our part and everything. And it's so cool to get to then sit down and talk with you guys and learn more about you guys. You both have such interesting stories. I love it. And really, thank you for your time, both doing this podcast and Red Rooms and everything. So I know there's
Thank
a
you.
lot coming.
You guys are
guys.
feeling it too. You guys are working really hard.
Yeah.
And we see it all. So thank you guys.
Rad. Thank you
And let
guys
us
so
know.
much.
Let us know when you want us to hop on that Red Room in the UK or something like that. We're down.
Oh,
We got passports and shit.
Yeah.
there you go. Okay. All right. Mark, Sean, Wolves, you guys are awesome. And thank you so much for doing this.
Hey,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
It's been great.
This episode of Breaking Sound, My Story, was made by editing help from our in-house editing team. Did you know this episode was filmed also? Watch it on our official BSTV channel. Our Breaking Sound My Story podcast is just a small part of how we support emerging artists. Discover more at www.breakingsound.com. To support our podcast, you can get a Breaking Sound My Story t-shirt by visiting breakingsound.com/merch. You can also follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at Breaking Sound Podcast. My name is Cage Sanderson. Thanks for listening.